Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember, subscribe is the vibe. Your boy's on the road to 4K humbly. So everybody's surprised. Actually, I was going to react. Like, I don't know what I was like. I got caught up. You know, sometimes you get caught up in life. I actually want to react to this the moment it happened, but, you know, life happened. So we're going to react. Phoenix Suns acquiring Bradley Beal in a trade from the Washington Wizards. Honestly, my opinion is I believe this move is 5 years too late. Beal coming off of 22 points a game last year. Did we even recognize Beal? Did Beal do anything? Like, there were a couple of games where I swear Kuzma was carrying the Wizards. Now, granted, you can make the argument that Beal had 1 foot out the door, or both them bitches, but nonetheless, it just feels like this move is just a little late. Personally, I just don't understand why the Suns would get rid of Chris Paul, and now you guys have no point guard. You know, like KD, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. I feel like, let's be honest, 10 years ago, this would be like, hold on a second, hold on. They shaking the room up. Now, it's like, are we still in the era of big three? Do big threes strike fear in people's hearts? I mean, how many big threes is KD gonna have, bro? Outside of being drafted with Russ and Harden, that was a big three, but I'm not gonna knock them. Y'all were drafted there, right? But to have the Golden State Warriors big three and the Nets big three, and now you in Phoenix with another big three, this man is trying so hard to win a ring the easy way. But nobody gonna talk about it. Nobody gonna mention it. But if this was LeBron, nonetheless, we see what's going on. Phoenix is trying to buy a championship, but at the end of the day, you get rid of the floor general, the point guard, and you bring in Bradley Beal. Again, an all-star, a great. I don't know, is he great now? He good, but I just don't like the fact that you guys get rid of CP3 and you got your entire salary cap in like 4 or 5 players. And how did Washington accept this trade and not ask for Ayton? Like the collusion, someone's sleeping with somebody wife out here. There's gotta be someone getting blackmailed. You get Bradley Beal and you give a Chris Paul and a bunch of second-round thrift. I'm talking about picks you take to the thrift shop and buy a sweater with. What are we doing? But nonetheless, we're gonna react to this monumental trade because it is a big deal. Even though, you know what I mean, I'm not ooh about it. I am gonna respect the fact that this is a big move in the West.
We got some breaking news into the HQ. Washington Wizards trading Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and draft compensation. Our NBA insider Bill Ryder confirms as part of the deal, Beal's agreed to waive his no-trade clause. He spent the first 11 years of his career in Washington after being selected 3rd in the 2012 NBA draft. He's averaged 22 points per game in that span, but after missing the playoffs the past 2 seasons and a new regime in the front office in D.C., it was time for a change. In Matt Ishbia's short time owning the Suns, he's now added Beal, traded for Kevin Durant last season, all to build around all-star Devin Booker. And here is CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder. Bill, some quick reaction to this deal. Where does this put the Suns in relation to the newly crowned Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, they're certainly neck and neck, Russ, and I think it will test the idea of whether or not you can win an NBA championship when you lack chemistry, because obviously these guys have not played together, and when you lack depth. They had to give away the little depth they had for Kevin Durant, and whatever remains is now going to go to Washington as part of this deal, I'm told. And so talking to folks in that Suns organization, they feel like having a triumvirate of Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal, I mean, that's 3/5 of an all-star team right there, will make up for whatever challenges there are filling out the roster and as these guys get used to each other. But as you noted, the Denver Nuggets aren't just defending champions. They're the model from the other perspective. They've been together for years. They know and like each other. They built that team mostly organically. So I think they're probably, the Suns, a little bit behind Denver, but it's going to be a test of 2 different ideologies, 2 different approaches to how you build a championship winner.
Look, people around basketball know all about Bradley Beal and what he's capable of. For the people who don't follow it as closely on a day-to-day basis, what is Beal bringing to this Suns lineup?
When he's healthy, and he has not been healthy for the entirety of his career, including last year, limited in the 50-game range, but when he's healthy, this is a player who's capable of scoring 30 points a game, creating his own shot, taking over games.
But this is the problem, though. Like, and you peep how they use the narrative when he's healthy. Yo, bro, they got a big 3 of players that are elite when they're healthy. But let's be honest. Kevin Durant, when's the last time he's played a full season? It had to be before the Achilles injury. You know what I'm saying? Devin Booker is notorious for them hamstring pulls. Bradley Beal, same thing with hamstring and lower leg injuries. It's like, this is such a risk of a move. Like, we're talking about if these guys stay healthy, I mean, you could predict second round of the playoffs. I'm not putting them in the Western Conference. Every single time I tend to put a big three in the Western Conference, they just never make it. I thought the Clippers would go a couple of times with Kawhi and PG. Listen, I'm not doing it no more. They could definitely get past the first round with a big three, and depends on who they, revolve around the roster with. But it's the fact that your three big players are all really injury prone. And forget about this 30-point a game. Bradley Beal's not going to go to Phoenix averaging 30. It's just not going to happen. It's Devin Booker, it's Kevin Durant, and whatever's left, Bradley Beal going to eat. That's basically what it's about to be. But is it worth $180 million in three play? I don't know.
Now, he's done that for the entirety of his time in the NBA with a Wizards team that has mostly been an afterthought. And when we've thought of them, Russ, it's been at the bottom of that pecking order, barely getting to the playoffs and not lasting very long. So when you couple him with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, it's an insane amount of offensive firepower. He is good enough to be one of the best offensive players, Bradley Beal, in the NBA. Not sure he's ever gotten that credit outside of NBA insider and fanatic fan circles because he's played for a mediocre to bad team. But now that you pair him with KD and with Devin Booker, at least on the offensive end, it is hard to see how teams are going to stop these guys because both players, not both players, all three guys are capable of being good enough to command a double team. He can't do that, in part because it's not practical, in part because there's only 5 guys, not 6 on the floor.
29.
So he's going to be an absolute machine, and I think the casual fan is going to get a real look at why Bradley Beal, or at least around the NBA, has been considered one of the sport's best scorers for a long time.
Look, the Wizards have sort of been hanging on to mediocrity for a long time, and I don't think I'm being harsh by saying that. Is this a definitive sign with the new management in town, like, hey, we're going to take a couple steps back here so that maybe we can start making steps forward? Is that how to read it?
Yeah, and I think also there's just a political dynamic in NBA front offices when you bring in new front office folks. Michael Winger is going to run as president of basketball operations. They brought in an entire new front office, and I think you're right. This gives them the opportunity to do the reset and to say this hasn't worked. As you noted, they've been mired in mediocrity at best over the course of their time with Bradley Beal. That's a very long time. This is the chance to restart. It's also worth noting that Bradley Beal, when they extended him, got a no-trade clause, which is extraordinary.
Like, look, the trade sends Bradley Beal to Phoenix in exchange for Chris Paul, who's 50, and Landry Shamet. Who? Can we get an identification on Landry Shamet? I need a photo, bro. I need a photo and draft compensation. And none of them are first-round picks. They're all second. This is a heist. Chris Paul, 79, bro.
Ordinarily rare. He's the guy. He's the only guy in the NBA that had a straight no-trade clause. So that gave him an enormous amount of leverage in this deal, in this situation. So the Wizards found themselves between a rock and a hard place. They did not have a good enough team, even with Bradley Beal, to be relevant. And yet in moving Bradley Beal, they were never going to get the price that kind of a player should command because he could nix any trade of any kind. So he could make sure that there wasn't too much coming back in return, that wherever he went wasn't competitive. He was always going to dictate terms. So you add it all up, it was time for Washington to start over, get what they could, and see what they can do in the years ahead.
Well, it certainly sounds like Bradley Beal and the Phoenix Suns got what they wanted, and now we've got new odds, by the way, because of this trade to win the NBA title. And let's take a look at those odds as they move. With the Denver Nuggets still the preseason favorites right now to win the NBA title, the Suns now the third favorite behind the Celtics at plus 575. They're the second best odds in the West. The Celtics still with the best odds in the East. You cool with that? The Suns plus 575. Nuggets still the betting favorite at plus 450.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, Denver, we saw win a championship largely behind Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, but their depth, Bruce Brown, other guys, Michael Porter Jr. toward the end of that series. I mean, a host of depth, I think, helped the Nuggets get there. It's hard to see how the Suns have that kind of depth. Phoenix has to be healthy. Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant have not been able to stay healthy over the last few years. But if those guys are healthy and they figure out how to bring in some players that can contribute, it'll be largely on league and veteran minimums, Russ. But you can do that. Durant plus Booker plus Beal. I mean, that's as good a big three offensively as I can remember in the NBA. So it would track. There are some question marks, but they're going to be one of the 2 or 3 or 4 teams, most likely if things go well, to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy a year from now.
Man, that is a big three in Phoenix. 2/3 of that big three have had injury issues pretty much for the last several years in Durant and Bradley Beal. It's paper-thin margins in the NBA, but that is a big move. That is our NBA insider, Bill Ryder. Bill, thank you so much for the insight.
And the crazy thing is, like, yo, it really comes down to who they surround these three with. Like, y'all gotta fill this roster up. Like, let's see what the depth is looking like. But God forbid you lose one of these dudes. You lose KD and you gotta deal with Bradley Beal. Yo, bro, one of these guys go down, I think this whole thing falls. That's just what it is. In today's NBA, that's just where we're at, bro. All three of these guys are kind of like injury prone, but if they stay healthy, I could see the second round. But right now, my early favorite is the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets gonna go back to back because y'all still don't got nothing for Joker. Y'all just don't. No one does. So, big move by the Suns, bro. Like, the Wizards got completely bamboozled. The fact that Bradley Beal had a no trade clause, he pretty much dictated everything, kind of like what he said. So this is basically the best that the Wizards could get, where Bradley Beal would approve because their hands were tied. Just bad organizations, just being bad at its finest, bro. Like, no one man should have all that power. You got Chris Paul and Landry Shamet for Bradley Beal. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Subscribe is the vibe. I'm gonna holler at you guys in the next video. And hit the like button for more content, man. Your boy's consistent, man. But Mamba out. Wizards are just trash.